Okay, so today we're tackling a bit of a mystery. You've got this massive amount of brilliant, potentially world-changing research published every single year, but it seems like so much of it just vanishes, you know? It never actually gets to the people who could use it. We're going to figure out why that is.
So this is really the heart of it, right? We've all had that feeling that somewhere out there incredible solutions already exist, but they're just locked away. So why? Why does this huge gap between knowing something and actually doing something about it keep happening?
Well, the source material we're looking at gives this problem a perfect name: research debris. And I want you to think of it like a satellite. It's launched into orbit with this incredible purpose. It collects amazing data, but once that main mission is over, it just stays up there. It becomes junk, circling uselessly. That is what happens to so much academic knowledge. It turns into this inert debris, just floating in an intellectual orbit, never actually making an impact back here on Earth.
All right, let's really get into this. To understand why all this debris piles up, we have to first get our heads around this massive divide. A divide between the people who make the research and the people who are supposed to be using it. You know, what's so powerful about this slide is how clearly it just lays out the problem. Academics and practitioners are basically living in two totally different thought worlds. So on one side, you have academics. They're driven by what's called a logic of rigor. Their whole goal is to build these perfect, airtight theories. And their rewards, like tenure and publications, come from being slow, careful, and using really specialized jargon-heavy language. But then you have practitioners. They live by a logic of relevance. They don't have time for theory. They need solutions to problems that are happening right now. It's a fundamental misalignment.
So to make this whole idea really concrete, we're going to go on a little salvage mission. We found a piece of research. Think of it as our satellite, just packed with valuable stuff about a huge global problem. And our job, together, is to stop it from becoming more debris.
And the big problem this research is trying to solve is our traditional linear economy. It's incredibly simple, and because of that, it's also incredibly wasteful. We take resources from the planet, we make stuff, we use it for a bit, and then we just throw it away. That's it. It's a one-way street to the landfill. And this number, wow. This really puts the crisis into perspective, doesn't it? Our linear way of doing things creates 1.3 billion tons of urban waste every single year. I mean, that's the weight of over 200 million elephants. And get this, by 2025, it's expected to hit 2.2 billion. We are literally running out of planet to support this system. We need a better way, and we need it fast. So, our satellite, the research paper we're salvaging, it has a solution. It's called the circular economy. But here's the catch. To get to the good stuff, you first have to somehow get past methods with names like fudgy-critic-topsis. I mean, come on. This is a perfect example of that knowledge barrier. This is exactly the kind of jargon that makes a practical person's eyes glaze over and creates, you guessed it, research debris.
Okay, this is where we get our hands dirty. This is the salvage operation. We are going to crack open this dense academic paper and pull out the actionable gold that's hidden inside. Let's do it. Look, we are not going to spend a single second trying to explain what fuzzy topsis is. You know why? Because for our purposes, it doesn't matter. The important thing isn't the method, it's the outcome. And buried inside all of that complexity is something simple and incredibly powerful: a checklist for any business that actually wants to put a circular economy into practice. So, imagine you're a manager. You want to make your supply chain circular. To do that, you have to pick the right partners, the right suppliers. This research analyzed dozens of different factors to figure out what matters most. So, what do you think? What's number one on that list? And boom, here it is. The single most important factor, weighing in at 23%, is environment. You know, things like how they handle waste, if they use eco-friendly packaging. But check out what's a super close second, at 21%, management's respect for the circular economy. Now, this isn't some fuzzy, feel-good thing. This is about whether the leadership of that supplier is genuinely, truly committed to these principles from the very top. That right there, that is the key insight we just salvaged.
And here's the whole shebang, the full checklist, translating all that academic gobbledygook into real questions a manager can actually ask. How good are their take-back programs? Do they have the right tech for remanufacturing? And is it actually going to be cost-effective? This is what research looks like when it's made useful. This is salvaged knowledge.
So salvaging a study after the fact is great, but let's be honest, it's not very efficient. What if we could stop research from becoming debris in the first place? Well, the source material actually gives us a pretty clear roadmap for how to do exactly that.
The big idea here is moving away from a one-way street, where academics just throw information over the wall, to building a collaborative bridge. This could be something like deep partnering, where a researcher actually embeds themselves in a company for a long time. Or using knowledge brokers, people whose whole job is to act as translators between the two worlds. The goal always is to get ideas flowing both ways. But maybe the most powerful idea, the one that could really be a game changer, is a call to change the very structure of academic papers themselves. The authors basically argue that researchers have a responsibility to think about their work's impact from day one. And this slide just nails the shift in thinking. On the left, you've got the typical passive-aggressive limitations section. It's basically an academic footnote that says, yeah, someone should probably do something with this. But on the right, you have a proactive pathways to impact section. It acknowledges the risk of becoming debris and then lays out a concrete plan to stop that from happening. It's a roadmap, not a shrug. You see, this isn't just about changing a heading in a paper. This is a profound shift in mindset. It forces researchers to be honest about their work's real-world potential and makes transferring that knowledge a primary goal, not some afterthought. It makes relevance a core part of the mission itself.
So we'll end on this thought. Every single industry, every field, has its own research debris, these brilliant ideas that are just gathering dust in journals. So the question for you is, what key insight, what brilliant idea in your world is just sitting there, waiting for its salvage mission?